look forward to another year of In the Trenches presented by First Star Logistics, but we wanted to give you some big news. This season, you'll find our interviews and keys to Bengals victory on In the Trenches in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, along with our growing team of Joe Goodberry's Bengals on the Brain and Malik Wright's State of the Jungle. Also, the great folks at First Star Logistics have big plans this season with special giveaways each week the Bengals play. So be sure to visit both channels and our social media pages to stay updated on all giveaways and the latest news on the Bengals. So be sure to subscribe to the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, as after this season, it'll become the channel that will host all our content.
You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. The Cincinnati Bengals 24-18 winners over the Buffalo Bills. And Lap, people were screaming at the trade deadline, this team needs a tight end. Tonight, they got 10 receptions, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns out of the combination of Smith, Sample, and Hudson.
And their position coach, James Casey, got a game ball. So that just tells you everything you need to know, I guess, about the tight end position and the impact that they had on this football game. Nobody works their players harder than James Casey, but it's all with proper intent. They are mentally on point. They don't make mistakes. They don't blow assignments that hurt the football team. And tonight they stepped up and made plays as a collective group. There's no question about that. Ja'Marr Chase was not targeted by Joe Burrow until his 13th pass attempt of the night. And that tells you that, Joe was happy with what was going on in other places. Not to say that Ja'Marr Chase wasn't necessarily the first option, but the Buffalo Bills were going to make sure that he wasn't going to be the first option as many times as Joe Burrow wanted, with respect to they were doubling him, clouding him, bracketing him, doing everything they possibly could to take him out of the football game. They wanted others to step up and say, okay, Ja'Marr Chase isn't going to beat us. Let's see if other players on your football team at the receiver position, tight end position, running backs catching the ball out of the backfield can beat us. And they did.
Bengals are a long way from where we were just a few weeks ago, Lap, because now they are 5-3. And we can actually say, hey, this team looks like a team that can make a run. And after the start they had, I think a lot of people were questioning it. And it all has to do, rest on that shoulder and on the calf of Joe Burrow.
Right. And right now the calf is no issue, which is phenomenal. It's great to say and realize that Joe Burrow, another quarterback rating, which is 108.9, which is phenomenal. 348 yards passing, 2 touchdown passes, no interceptions. I mean, I think that last week, no penalties on the offense, and Joe Burrow was razor sharp. I think that those were the two big reasons, two of the bigger reasons they won that football game on the road against the 49ers. And then in this football game, no turnovers. Played a clean game in that regard. Clean game in penalties last week, clean game and no turnovers this week, and Joe Burrow still razor sharp. And they win against a quality team that's going to be a playoff team. So how about here's a football, 4 on the road against the 49ers and 4 at home here against the Buffalo Bills. The Bengals never trailed. They never trailed in either football game for 8 quarters of football against 2 damn good football teams. And Joe Burrow, obviously being healthy and doing what he's doing is a huge reason why.
Lap, I do have to, towards the end of the game, Zach Taylor had to make a couple times to make decisions on what to do on 4th down. My personal opinion, I thought the one where he should have gone for probably gone for it there, but there was a penalty. You talked about penalties. This team tonight, 6 penalties, 49 yards, uncharacteristic of the Bengals as a whole. But again, Lou Anarumo's defense comes up big. Guys like Cam Taylor-Britt and Jermaine Pratt make plays. That's, stop drives by the Buffalo Bills.
I know. I mean, it's like Cam Taylor-Britt. Is he making, with his performances, is he making a statement that he's the number 1 cornerback on this football team? I mean, at times, he was the guy that was locked on Stephon Diggs. Wherever Diggs went, Cam Taylor-Britt went. Now, that wasn't the whole game, but it was a good part of the game. There were major important instances where those guys were locked up one-on-one. Now, they did double him. They did cloud him. They did do different things with him, just like the Buffalo Bills were doing to Jamar Chase. But Cam Taylor-Britt, in 2 consecutive games, he had the huge diving interception in the end zone in Buffalo. Then he had this interception tonight in this football game. I mean, he's definitely making a statement. There's no two ways about that. I mean, he's a competitive guy that brings energy. He brings the juice, like he says, and guys feed off of him. There's no doubt about it.
Joe Mixon, only 37 yards, 14 carries, a 2.6 average. I think people are going to look at that and say, hey, Joe Mixon didn't have a good game, but do we have to relook how we look at Joe Mixon? Because what he did in the passing game far makes up. That's almost like the extension of the run game. I know you talk about that all the time. But I mean, he did have the touchdown, and he had the biggest play of the game at the very end there on the last carry he had that got the first down.
Yeah, that was massive. I mean, he froze Von Miller and then just outran him to the perimeter and just made a heck of a play. There's no question about that. And then he broke a tackle out of the nickel corner. Johnson as well ran through that tackle, and he admitted after the game. I talked to him after the game. He said, I should have stayed in bounds. And the only mistake I made was running out of bounds. But that wasn't a killer because they ended up being able to run out the rest of the clock and take a knee. I thought that the 4-minute drill that they ran was like 3 minutes and 36 seconds when they got the ball back. That was big. That was big to be able to execute. And, I was thinking, geez, with Buffalo onside kick, I might run it through my mind. They went for 2. They were aggressive with that. They went for 2 to cut it to 6. So they were looking to win the football game. I'm thinking, man, if I kick it off, if I kick it deep and I give it to Joe Burrow, am I going to get the ball back? Well, they didn't. They decided not to onside kick. And I can understand that. But I thought, geez, they might onside kick it. They didn't. And the 32-yard completion to Tyler Boyd, I mean, you get 3 first downs, more than 3 first downs on that one completion, and you flip the football field by almost a third of the field on that one play. That was the one. I mean, that was the killer. That one, they had at least one nail in the coffin, and then Joe's run put the second nail in the coffin, and pretty soon that bad boy was closed.
Talk about the play of the offensive line. I'm watching it on the TV. The one thing, you could see in the replays they were showing was a lot of double teams by, be Karras Volson, Karras Kappa, and then also Orlando Brown Jr. pulling from the left tackle spot to the right and opening a hole there. This line seems to be really starting to gel.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a while. I mean, Orlando's been a guy that's been doing that for a few weeks, and that they didn't change up much of what they've been doing. They did the same thing with the 49ers. Their interior duos, they call them, double teams between center and guard. Center and left guard, center and right guard, depending on the play, have been pretty darn solid. And Orlando has done a good job, not only run blocking straight ahead of them and pass protecting, but also showing an ability to move in space as well, like you talk about. So I thought the only negative was there was a sequence of 3 straight penalties at the end of the second quarter that cost the Bengals an opportunity where they left points on the football field. There's no question about it. This was far from a perfect game. They basically were up at the half, but could have been up a lot more at the half if they had taken advantage of turnovers. And the turnovers were negated by the Bengals having 3 straight penalties. I mean, that is totally uncharacteristic. I think they're still going to, be amongst the league leaders in fewest penalties and fewest penalty yards. It's not like they, went nuts and had all kinds of personal foul penalties and things of that nature. But this football team, number 1 in the NFL in fewest penalties called against them, number 1 in fewest penalty yards walked off against them. The drive that they had that they could have done a heck of a lot more with, they weren't able to get it done because of self-destruction by penalty.
Joe Burrow's finger, any concerns there going forward? He just claimed it was a cut, nothing serious. And then you had Jamar Chase with the when he went up for the ball, came down on his back side real hard. Any injuries coming out of this game that you see being something to concern as they get ready for the Texans?
No, I think I went up to Joe after the game and said, "Are you going to lose your nail?" No, I said nothing like that. It's just, I got a little. I saw it on TV. They showed the close up of the thumb and the cut like below the thumb and a little bit of a mark on the nail. But he said it was fine, and he performed pretty darn well. And Jamar came back into the football game after being out for a snap. Just to now, am I saying tomorrow morning when they wake up it won't be sore? I'm not saying that. And if it is bothering Joe, he may only take one work day instead of two if it's bothering him, releasing the football, throwing the football. Because once the adrenaline wears off and all that, and you might have to get some treatment, get some swelling out of it, and whatever the case may be there. And hopefully with Jamar, it's just nothing more than, it's not, hopefully it's not spasming or anything like that. Hopefully he just landed on it pretty hard and he's got, a little bit of a contusion there and got to get some swelling out of that and take care of business.
One thing it was plain to see tonight, T. Higgins is one of the top receivers in the NFL. 8 catches, 110 yards. Boy, you would love to see the Bengals get T. Higgins signed to a new deal before he becomes a free agent. But this young man, you can tell he's healthy now after fighting the rib injury.
Yeah, he is. And the thing that is, so many things are obvious with him at 6'4" plus and 220 pounds in that range. For a guy of that body type and that size to be able to sink his hips and get in out of cuts and run routes as precisely as he does. And then he's long bodied and long armed. His catching radius is huge. It's so tough to defend him because of that size, and he moves like a person much smaller than that. He's definitely got a skill set that is that's incredible. He was targeted 9 times and caught 8 of them, like you said, for 110 yards, and his longest was a 21-yard reception. Jamar was targeted 8 times and had 4 catches for 41 yards. He had that 32 yards on one play. Tyler Boyd had 32 yards on 1 catch. So, you've got Higgins had a catch of over 20 yards. Chase did. Boyd did. Sample did for a touchdown. They spread the ball around. 9 different receivers, caught at least 1 pass. So Joe was doing a pretty good job of mixing and matching out there.
You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. Reminder, each week the Bengals play, First Star Logistics is giving away some great prizes. Lap and I get a chance to see these prizes when we go into the studio each week. And Lap, you have to agree. We've seen the jukebox and, the Xbox was this week they're giving out, and we've seen the championship belt. We've seen this stuff. It's stuff we want in our house. And
sure.
So we make sure you get a chance. Go visit First Star Logistics on their Twitter/X at First Star LOG to get all the details for you to get involved and possibly take home one of these great prizes, because we still have a long way to go in this season and a lot of great prizes. Lap, let's move forward. It's great to have this win, to be 5-3 for the Bengals right now. But I don't know if you had a chance to see any of that Houston Texans ending today. CJ Stroud, for a rookie quarterback, it looks like the Texans got the right guy in the draft, and they're going to come in 4-4 on Sunday with a 1:00 kickoff.
Yeah, absolutely. CJ Stroud, 470 yards passing today, 5 touchdowns. I don't think he threw an interception. I think he's only thrown 1 interception, 8 football games that he's started. So here's a guy that's taking care of the football. He's got huge numbers. He's got a very compact, accurate throwing motion. He stands in courageously in very, very tight pockets. He's the real deal. There's no question about it. And rookie receiver Houston and he are going to make beautiful music together for the Houston Texans, I think, for years to come. They're legit. They're a legit offensive football team. Now, their defense gave up a bunch of points today. And I think Lou Anarumo will probably test in terms of, I mean, maybe he thinks he's seeing something and he's seeing ghosts, and he's really something else has taken place with the doctor of defense, Lou Anarumo. That will be interesting to see what he can concoct and scheme and come up with to bother C.J. Stroud. But yeah, they're a legit football team. But like you said, the Bengals have won 4 in a row and 5 out of their last 6. And in these 4 wins, the Bengals have scored on their first drive in all football games. And they scored a touchdown on the second drive in 3 straight. And in that 4th game, scored on their second drive. It was a field goal. So they're starting fast, getting early leads, pushing leads. I mean, they're playing the way that you want to see the Bengals play and start stacking some wins. It was good to get the victory today against an AFC team, and now they get another one coming to Paycor Stadium. The
other thing, you give up 18 points to an offense that people put up there as one of the top offenses in the NFL overall. And then, a week ago, the 49ers, you only gave up 17, I think it was. I mean, that's Lou Anarumo. We hear his name. And every game that I see and I'm watching as I'm getting ready for our call at the end of the game, everybody, doesn't matter if it's Fox, CBS, NBC, Collinsworth, Tirico tonight, they all say, Lou Anarumo, head coach next year. Is this man getting enough credit for what he's done here in Cincinnati?
Well, he dodged the bullet. He was a finalist for Arizona. He didn't get that job, and fortunately for him, I think he didn't get it. I think that he is going to be a candidate for a lot of people. His reputation is just continues to grow. It continues to ramp up. He's doing nothing to harm it. That's for darn sure. And he's legit. And he comes up with unbelievable ideas, unbelievable game plans. He takes ideas that his assistants have, and every idea is a good idea. And then they decide as a group, how they're going to approach it and what they're going to do. He obviously makes final calls on everything, but he is doing a remarkable job. You got to understand, the Buffalo Bills came into this football game the 4th leading scoring football team in the NFL and the 3rd fewest points allowed in the NFL. And the Bengals did what they did. So, kudos to both sides of it and getting off to the start they got off to. I mean, to score 14 points in the first 2 drives against Buffalo, nobody has done that to them all year long. I think that put them back on their heels. And Lou Anarumo offense out there on the football field, Bengals score, the Bills go down and score, and the Bengals score again, to just take it right back. That makes life easier for Lou Anarumo. And all of a sudden the defense is freer. You can do a lot more things, and they start making some plays. So it's what they're doing right now is playing complementary football, and we talk about it all the time, but it's probably as important as anything. All 3 phases doing the job for the other phase, and we can't slight Darren Simmons going into this football game. 3 of his 4 phases, kickoff return, punt return, 3 of the 4 were in the top 5 in the National Football League. That's pretty damn good. He's got one of the best special teams marks in the National Football League this season, and that's no rarity. He does that a lot.
Again, you've been in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. And a final reminder, please take part in the First Star Logistics giveaway each week the Bengals play. Dave, we were talking about the defense. You talked about Darren Simmons. You've watched this team, so many years. You've called games and played. Where do you see this team as compared to the last 2 seasons, where they stand at this juncture of a season, being a team that had such a rough start, now sitting with a clear winning record at 5-3. How would you compare this squad to what we've seen the previous 2 seasons?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cut from the same cloth. I think a lot of the players have experienced it, and they think they can do it again. I really believe that. One thing that we have to understand, though, the AFC North is legit, Everybody in the AFC North is 2 games over 500. If the playoffs were to start tomorrow, every single AFC North team would be in the playoffs. The Bengals would be the 7th seed. Baltimore would be up there, very high seed. They're playing their tails off. But Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Cincinnati would be seeds 5, 6, and 7. So, and again, that's if the playoffs were to start tomorrow. So the division swept the action this weekend. Everybody won. I mean, between Baltimore and Cleveland, they allowed 3 points total. Cleveland pitched a shutout, and Baltimore allowed 3 points to the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, this division is the real deal. So the Bengals understand that. They won the division 2 years in a row. They put themselves behind the 8 ball, falling 0-2 in the early stages of the season in the division. But they've crawled back from that type of thing before. So there's confidence there. It's not like pipe dream. It's not like, you're just foolhardy thinking that you can bounce back from this. Well, they've done it. They've done it before, and they're in the process of trying to get it done again. It doesn't mean that just because you did it before, it's going to happen again, but they know what it takes to get that done, and they're in the process of trying to muster it up again.
And that brings me to this. I apologize. I know I want to let you go so you can get home. Long day. But the next 3 weeks will play a big role in that. You have, as we talked about, the Texans, but then you have the Ravens on Thursday night. You have that short turnaround on the road, and then you welcome in the Steelers. So the Bengals in the next 3 weeks are going to answer a lot of questions on how this season may go as far as long term and being able to get into the playoffs and make another playoff run.
There's no doubt, no question about it. And, the Bengals, in the last year, they went 3-3 in the division. And the year before, I think it was very similar to that. Maybe it was 4-2 and 3-3 the year before. So that game in Baltimore on Thursday night, that is going to be a tester. There's no question about it. The Baltimore Ravens are playing phenomenal football. But you look at it, and the Indianapolis Colts beat them. So it's not like they're invincible, but playing in Baltimore is a horse of a different color. And the Bengals, with a very medically limited Joe Burrow, lost by 3 to Baltimore here in Cincinnati. So it's going to be a challenge. There's no question. But first thing that they have to take care of is a young rookie quarterback, C.J. Stroud, who doesn't know what he doesn't know yet as far as being in the NFL, and he's playing his tail off. I mean, he's not making it too difficult. He's keeping it simple in his mind, and he's going out and he's executing as well as any quarterback in the National Football League. The thing that impresses me most about him is, taking care of the football. He's number one in the NFL in terms of interceptions. He's only thrown 1. He's not hurting his football team. He's not putting his team in jeopardy. He's making a lot of plays to help that football team. So before think about short week in Baltimore, I got to take care of business against Houston, or something will happen like when Indianapolis, beat the Baltimore Ravens. They definitely stubbed their toe there, but they certainly have recovered from it.
He is Dave Lapham. You have been in
beat
the
Ravens.
trenches.
I said Texans. I'm sorry. Indianapolis beat the Ravens.
Yes. Dave, it's been a long day for everybody, especially you. Great call tonight with you and Dan Horde on the First Star Logistics Bengals Radio Network. We can't appreciate enough you taking the time each week when the Bengals play to give us this time on a call. But you've been in the trenches with Dave Lapham. It's presented by First Star Logistics. And again, please get involved in the great giveaways that First Star Logistics having. Lap, we'll see you in the studio later this week.
Sounds like a plan, Dave, and you're right. Get involved, because First Star Logistics, they do everything first class. Every prize that they make available to you is first class, the best you can get.
Dave, I didn't get a chance to ask, because you've seen so many games. What was it like tonight? And I'll let you go. To see something get pulled off like they did, because it looked unbelievable on TV with the striping of Inside the Jungle.
Yeah, I gotta tip my cap to the girls. They're just they've taken it to another level. Katie and Troy's daughters are doing a good job with the marketing department, social media. It is remarkable. They've taken it to another level, and to see Paycor Stadium light up the way it did, literally and figuratively. I mean, teams around the National Football League and head coaches around the NFL, when Zach Taylor goes to league meetings and when he communicates with head coaches, they talk about Paycor as being one of the toughest stadiums in the NFL to play in. And this is part of the reason why. I mean, they're making it a fun atmosphere for the fans. They're doing great things for the fans. The fans are in full throat. I mean, one time a timeout was called by Buffalo because it was so loud. The play clock was winding down. I mean, Allen just called a timeout rather than jeopardize either a penalty or turning the football over. I mean, that's huge when your home crowd is in full throat like that. It's incredible.
Again, you've been in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. We appreciate everybody listening and watching on the YouTube channels, both on Dave Lapham in the Trenches and the First Star Media Group. Lap, you want to give us a big who day?
Yeah, I'll tell you, 4 games in a row, 5 out of 6. Who day, baby?
Who day?
Joe Burrow's back.
Thanks, Lap.
Later, Dave.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.